Hi, this is Anna Imagination with the Healing Garden, and welcome to Predator Dating. If you are new to my channel, I am a philosopher, psychologist, and sociologist of 30 years. I know my shit. And this is Predator Dating, one of my favorite playlists, podcasts to talk about this highlighted topic. I woke up this morning to 9 messages from men, most of them overseas. And it is love bombing. The problem that I'm having with this more and more is, and this is beautiful. This is something that I absolutely love because I realized I was able to finally articulate precisely what it is they're doing. And whenever I am able to precisely pinpoint something, I love sharing it because once you raise awareness, once people start becoming aware of it, it literally takes their power away. Literally, if you have a narcissist, the easiest thing you can do is educate yourself. It is like the cure to narcissism. It truly is. Education is the cure to all mental illness. It really is. The reason why we develop mental illness is because we lack the understanding. And when we don't understand, the mental illness basically forms as a result of not being able to logically process what's being done to us because we lack the logic. So when you have the understanding and the logic, you can plug in the comprehension and it goes away. Logic and education are the cure to mental illness, which is why a lot of really educated people, the more educated a person becomes, the less emotional, mentally ill they are. So this one in particular really, really hits me hard. It's a kind of gaslighting, but it's actually a silent gaslighting. And what it is they don't ask your permission. They assume that because you're a woman and you're pretty, that you must be interested in being an object for their affection. It's the default belief that all women love unwanted romantic sexual attention. And that's the first problem. So they approach you, they message you right off. And the first thing that really hits you is the fact that they don't even ask if you're interested or available, which right away puts you at a dehumanized point of view because suddenly it's, why aren't you asking my permission to even address me like this? You go from being a stranger to having this conversation thrown at you without consent. So right off, they're violating consent. In addition to that, they are immediately removing your opinion and your voice and your ability to even object to their advances out of the equation. When you do speak up and you say something like, I'm not interested, their immediate response then to that is completely ignoring your objection as if you've said nothing, which further dehumanizes you so that you're now completely voiceless and without a brain. And I've had several this morning where I very bluntly said, I'm not interested. They pretended like I said nothing and they continued their advances. One man came right out and said, I love you. And the love bombing, all of it, between the love bombing and the aggression of their assertiveness, all of it is a complete invalidation and denial of my brain. So I've done the whole, let's just silently block them and leave it alone. But it doesn't change the fact that they've still dehumanized, degraded, and for me, it's triggering because I've spent 40 years being treated like this by my husbands and by men in general. My father, my brothers, this is normal behavior from men who are literally fifth perspective and lower. And it's gotten to a point where, I've talked to most of my men now in my circle are sixth perspective or higher. For this reason is because when you get a man who is fifth perspective or lower, he does this to a woman. And more times than not, this is the rule. It's almost never the exception. So getting over this initial hurdle from strangers, men, then the other gaslight is when other men tell you that they're not real, that they're bots and they're scammers. Oh, they're real. They're real. They are this much of an asshole. And that's another form of gaslighting, is when you have other men, even your close friends, trying to tell you that they're bots or they're not real. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And it doesn't really matter how you slice it. It's gaslighting all around, being told that the situation isn't what you think it is. And that's it right there. Being told that the situation is not what you think it is just one more invalidation that I'm not capable of using my brain. And it's absolutely demoralizing and degrading to have your intelligence, your scope of knowledge and mental accomplishment be completely thrown out, devalued, only because you got a pretty face. It's, I lived as an animal for 40 years. It feels the same way. It feels exactly the same way. And it's a reminder why I left the system. It really is a solid reminder why I left the system. I'm ready to just like collect all of my women people and be like, you know what? Let's go create an Amazon society together. Let's just say fuck this shit. And just, you know what? If they think they don't need us, they don't need us, you know? And, I think I'm at that point where I'm ready to just take the women in my circle and just go, just exit because we're not respected and we're not treated properly. And I'm not looking for a matriarchy. I have a problem with that also. What I'm looking at is to just be seeing with a brain first. I think that's really it. And the words that I use specifically is the invisible or the silent gaslighting. That's really it. Where to bypass rejection, they pretend you don't talk. So they literally make you voiceless. So that when you do speak an objection, they have such an insecurity about being rejected and an inflated, pompous conceit about them that says that I'm worthless. And it's like, if you think I'm that worthless, why am I giving you even a second? And it's interesting because the way they want to treat women very much is equal to a God forbid you have a brain because that gets in my way of what I want. And this is really how men have treated women for centuries is if a woman has a brain, then she gets in my way of having her. So they dumb us down, they make us stupid. And it doesn't work when you have a woman who's mentally healthy. Whenever I talk to, I have a few men who've asked me, like, what do I do? How do I do with this? And one of my big things is I will have there's I'm upset and I just need to take a minute. I posted my accomplishments on Facebook once and one of the persons there completely bypassed my accomplishments and said, "Wow, you're really pretty." And it's just so offensive. Like, great, my parents can fuck. Thank you. You've completely invalidated my life work, but hey, my parents can fuck. And every time someone tells me I'm pretty, that's what I hear. My parents can fuck. Good for them. That's not at all a reflection on me. So, yeah, I think that's it. Next time somebody tells me I'm pretty, I'm just gonna respond back with, "Yeah, thank you. My parents can fuck. Good for them. Doesn't do anything for me, but good for them. Thank you." Is that supposed to be a compliment? Because that's not one I've earned. I'm very, very proud of my life's accomplishments and my life's work. Yeah, I think I want to kind of like unanimize that under with women. Just stop telling me I'm pretty. Stop it. It's one of the things I love about my partner. We dated for like a year. It was very random, very quietly, after a year, when he said, I do think you're beautiful, but I also know that beautiful women hear that way too much. And I know that you really don't like hearing it. And that is why I love you, I told him. That is exactly why I love him, is because he knows shit like that. And then I got these asshole men, just random strangers, just telling me shit like that within the first 2 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, that's why you're not my partner. So all I can do is educate. That's all I can do is offer education. I think men are in a, that's what I was going to say. I needed to take a minute to calm down. And now that I have, I'm ready to go back over this. There are 4 kinds of women in the world and 2 kinds of men. And the 4 kinds of women are this. The first one is what I call the house elf. It's the women who are enslaved in this mindset and they're happy about it and they don't know any better. They are so uneducated that they are clueless that they're house elves. The second type of person is what I call the Dobie house elf, which is the house elf that knows it's a slave, isn't happy about it, and can't get away from it. I was a Dobie for a very long time. And every time you try and tell people that you are a house elf, they gaslight you and tell you they're not, but then turn around and treat you like it, whistle at you like a dog, discourage you, make sure that you're completely unskilled, completely uneducated, completely incompetent, or at least completely filled with so much self-doubt that you wouldn't even think of trying to get financial freedom. They deliberately, strategically keep you either uneducated or unemployed so you can't take care of yourself. They take your own resources away from you. They keep you dependent upon them and then gaslight you, insisting that the situation isn't really what you think it is. In the meantime, you have no resources to even support yourself. You require somebody else's help because they cripple you from a lack of resources, whether it be skills or whether it be mental constitution or even mental health to get yourself outside and functioning. They literally cripple women with mental illness to make her incapable of being independent. The next one is the freed slave. This is where I am now, where it's when you finally get out and you've got your confidence, you've got your solid grounding and your solid footing, and you know who you are, but you've got all the scars and you have awareness like you wouldn't believe, that you know that you had to fight for the independence and the freedom and the resourcefulness that you have. And that's the last type of woman, is the woman who was born into freedom. You don't meet very many of those. You either have a woman who's born into slavery and she's completely clueless. You have the woman who's born into slavery and she's aware of it and she's trying to get out. You have the woman who is freed from that slavery, and my God, she walked away with blood scars and probably only half of her children. And then you've got the woman who is born into freedom. And good God, I've never met one of them. I think I've met one of those women. And she was as confident as I am now without any of the awareness or the scars of other women having to struggle that fight. Most women that I meet are either, no, most of them I meet are really clueless that they are in a slave situation, that they're completely dependent upon their man for resources, survival, anything. And when the man is done using them, he throws them away, gets somebody else, and she's completely left crippled. By the way, this is why we have alimony, is because of this bullshit. And then you've got 2 kinds of men. The kind of man who wants the woman a slave, who wants the system as this is to cultivate the slave woman, or you have a man who actually wants a woman who's independent. Now, It's not very often I find a man who actually is aware of the situation and is actually against it. Again, I've got my man for a reason because he's mindful of it, he's aware of it, he has seen it. And you've got, I guess there's a third kind of man, the kind of man who's oblivious to this process, where he's going, what's wrong with women? They're all fucked up. Yeah, because of the way the system has made us, because of the way the system has groomed us into this type of obedience. The minute you are at least 1 year old, the minute you can carry an object, they put a doll in your hands and they tell you you aren't worth anything until you breed. And that is the message they give girls from the time we are able to walk. You are nothing unless you can breed. Your dreams should be focused on breeding. I was forced to breed. I was very much a breeder in so many ways, from abortion to IVF to surgery. And when I couldn't breed, I was thrown away. So yeah, I'm very familiar with breeding. And it's just this concept of people are like, oh, where'd you grow up? New York. Nothing special. Just a white supremacist little shit town in the middle of central New York, where people were so fucking ignorant of this process that they were nurturing the process, oblivious to what they were actually nurturing. And that's the problem. Oblivious. Misogyny is one of those things that just, there's a lot of damage being done there that a lot of people are not aware of. It's called crippling self-doubt. And it leaves its mark on every woman who's ever been in the system deeply, to the point where 99.9% of the women I speak to from the system, when you talk to a woman about it, every woman lights up and goes, yep, it's that crippling self-doubt that we can't get over. And that self-doubt, it's what I call slave mind. Good God, call it for what it is. Call it for what it is. I've done the psychological research. I've done the studies. I've looked at the statistics. It's called domesticated slavery. And when you look at the psychology of Stockholm syndrome, of psychological entrapment, of slave mind, and a trafficked woman, they're identical. And it's the same mentality that so many women live under. My mother was a happy house elf. Interchangeable at this point. She was a happy housewife her entire life, or that was the image that came upon. She, up and out of the blue, tried to escape 20 years after being married, and she lost literally 3 of her 4 children when she tried to extract herself from the situation. And then she lost financially everything. She had nothing. And then when she tried to get a job, she couldn't, because she had lived for 20 years as a happy housewife, precisely as she was groomed into obedience to do. A lot of other women will marry to escape an abusive father or husband, or an abusive husband or brother. For God's sakes, by the time I was 15, to survive getting away from my abusive brother, I moved in with a raping boyfriend who turned very quickly into chaining me up and locking me in a bedroom for 6 months while he sexually tortured me. So yeah, very familiar with it. And I only agreed to even move in with him to escape the beating brother, who I didn't know if I could survive at that point, because every day he literally said to me, I'm going to fucking kill you. This is the shit that happens behind closed doors. And my story is not unusual. It's normal. This is the same story that almost every person lives. Almost every woman I speak to has a variation of my story. But the abusers like you to think that you're alone, so you don't talk about it to anyone. Everyone's walking around smiling. Everyone's walking around acting like everything's fine. And they're not. We're all so busy pretending that we think we're isolated. And that's the problem. No one's talking about it. So yeah, I'm talking about it. I'm getting in your face and I'm saying, do you have any idea what's going on behind closed doors? Because I do. Because when you're a therapist, when you're a psychologist, when you have people flooding to you and telling you their life stories, and it's the same story with different players, you start to notice something. You all think you're alone. You're not. That horrific trauma that's just so fucking god horrible, yeah, you are 1 in 8 billion. Everyone has the same story. And that's not to belittle your trauma. It's not. It's to show you that everybody goes through it and nobody's talking about it. And that's the problem. There is no awareness happening because no one's talking about it. Because abusers condition you to be a secret keeper so they can keep abusing you. One of the best tricks that they do is it's urban life. I love this about urban life. Deliberately have the houses so far apart that you can rape, beat, and abuse in silence and privacy. So that if your victim does want to get away, they're going to need a car and God knows how much money to even get to the nearest neighbor. We're talking total isolation and privacy to abuse however you want. And when you get into the city, your dirty laundry is all over. Everyone can see the abuse. Everyone can hear the abuse because everyone is so tightly woven together here. But you get out into the urban life and suddenly everybody is free to abuse and beat in privacy. And the problem is we're not talking. That's the problem. We're not talking because they conditioned us to not talk. Big fucking problem. Yeah, you know what? I think I just need to get louder. Not louder volume-wise, but maybe a little bit more precise about what it is I'm saying about this kind of abuse because it is a big problem. So yeah, my original agenda has always been to give voice to the voiceless. Because I noticed when I give voice to the voiceless, I get a lot of response back of, oh my God, that is exactly how I feel. Or, oh my God, that is exactly how it was for me. I'm not alone. And there's this sudden awareness of, you mean I'm not alone? No, you're not alone. Oh my God, your story is so common that if we all talk about it, it would actually start to change it. And this is where people really underestimate the power of talking because we don't understand what talking really is. Yeah, I was going to start it yesterday. I was thinking about it. I have a group all ready to go for communication and boundary, and I think I'm going to do it. I already have the group. Let me grab it for you. It's on Facebook. I'm going to do it. I'm so angry, upset. It's communication and boundary classes. We're going to start it now. Hold on a minute. We're starting now. Because this is over and over again. Every time at 9:30. No, yeah, 9:30. I have a doctor's appointment with my daughter, so I have to watch the time today. But this is it. I can't do this anymore. I understand way too well what did I just do? Am I still live? Oh my God, did you know that I can edit? Wow, I did not know I could edit while I'm actually live. Holy shit toast. All right. This is nice. I can actually document while I'm sitting here talking to you. Like, okay, so if you want to join this class, it's going to be free because this is so fucking important that it needs to be free. It is the Healing Garden boundary setting. This is for my communications class. Communications. And you cannot talk about communication without talking about emotions. So it's going to be communications, communication, boundary setting, and emotional management. I hate the word management because it's not really management. It's a lot more, and I haven't been able to find the right word for it yet. So this is now, and I have it here on Facebook. The link is in the chat below. So if you want to join this class, go right ahead. There you go. Save. Wow, I love that I can edit like in the middle of this. That's phenomenal. I just noticed the edit button. I'm like, whoa. So if you want to join this class, go ahead and click on that link below. It's my Facebook group, and there's like 100 people already in the group. I'm going to do a class in about 15 minutes where I talk about the importance of communication, because this is what it keeps coming back to, is a lack of communication. No matter what you do, no matter where you are in your healing journey, communication is where it starts. Communication with the self, communication with other people, communication with your loved ones, communication with the people in your life who are gaslighting you. There's a massive misunderstanding in the importance of communication, what it actually does, all of it. And this sets it straight 100%. And I'm done with this is where it all starts, is communication. This is where healing begins, is communication. And there's so many reasons why. There is so many reasons why we are oblivious to the importance of word, oblivious. So we're going to go ahead and start there. If you want to join the class, go right ahead. I'm probably going to add this to my rounds. I do rounds every morning. So I'm going to add this to my rounds. And yeah, I think I'm going to link predator dating in my communication classes one-on-one, because that's it right there. Predator dating and communication. So thank you so much for joining me. If you want to work with me, I have a few offers available. My first one is my case studies. That's $500 a week. If you want all of triadic healing, and triadic healing is my, it's my mindset. It's a lot. It's all of my education, philosophy, psychology, everything. It's all of my work with redefining and breaking down complex psychology into very simple concepts so that it's attainable. And then I organized it into a beautiful program, 3-part program that rewipes all of the conditioning out of you, resets you with your own identity, and then builds up your communication, confidence, and defense around that. Oh, yeah, it's really fucking badass. And I do it through natural play learning, imagination, manifestation, physics, and psychology, logic, and philosophy. It's 100% logic based. There's no medication. It's just knowing what logical fallacy does to the subconscious mind and being able to correct it, which I do with triliminals, which is it's gorgeous. The whole thing. It's positive affirmations. It's subliminal messaging designed to recondition you back into a monolith of power and strength. It's beautiful. It restores your identity, and it does it in only a few weeks. It literally replaces any need for therapy at all, because it's everything you need just condensed. So it's like therapy on steroids, but it's strategically done logically so that you don't have to do any trauma dumping. You don't have to do any shadow work. The shadow work is greatly misunderstood in the psychology field. So, and it's completely structured with a full healing journey plan. So you see beginning, you see end, you understand where you're going, you understand what the problem is. It's the full big picture of this is what really happened to you. This is what you're dealing with. Mental illness is a symptom. All of mental health is a symptom of perspective health. And perspective health is my forte. I'm the founder of perspective psychology, perspective philosophy. And it's a full comprehension of what perspective is and how vital it is to your function. And we have our mental health, we have our physical health, and we have our perspective health. And if you are not aware of perspective health and the importance of what it's doing to your mind, now that's where you end up with mental illness. So I offer this program is called Triadic Healing, and I offer it in 3 parts. The first part that I offer it is case studies. If you want to be a case study, it's $500 a week. And the people who are in my case study right now are seeing massive results in 5 weeks. It's that effective. If you go with Triadic Healing, you are not going to need therapy for more than a year. You're just not, because it's a full embedded. It's gorgeous. The second thing that I have available, aside from the case study, is the actual full program. The full program comes in 3 parts. The full basic program is $5,000 one time a flat rate. The second program includes parenting and teaching and healing. If you want to merge it with another person and learn how to toggle a relationship with it, that is part two, and that's $10,000. And if you want to be certified as a healer in triadic healing so that you can use it and implement it in your own business, that's with certification, that's $15,000. And that is triadic healing, the relationship aspect of it, and the certification that you can transfer it over into your own business. You'll have a license to actually use it for your own people. The other option available is if you want to do my group sessions. This is more of a DIY class, and this is triadic healing. This is $150 a month or $1,500 a year. And that is available. It's going to be a weekly online class with a group class where I present the material. And then if you need additional one-on-one, I have office hours where you can come in and ask questions about that. So those are my three options as far as if you're interested in doing triadic healing. The links are available below, and I'm going to go ahead and jump into this communication class now. But thank you so much, and feel free to join us for the communication class. Thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.